If anyone's seen Freaks, Todd Browning is extraordinary in that he treats people who are disabled or who are strange or peculiar or unacceptable, you know, who are abnormal, for the want of a better word. He treats them with great compassion and he gives them their humanity. And in particularly in Freaks, where, as far as I understand it, his career was destroyed afterwards because he portrayed, you know, armless people, legless people, dwarves, basically getting revenge because of a betrayal in love, which was, you know, a very normal motivation to do that. And so anyway, that just really annoyed me, but I thought the film was fantastic and I was really moved and I love to see it on a big screen. I thought that, you know, if you're going to go to a silent film festival, well then you know you're going to be looking at old silent films. So you know the films are going to be a bit fuzzy and you know they're going to be silent, and you also know there's going to be an anachronistic acting style. You know, because of course they couldn't use words, so they had to use gestures. And they were coming out of the, you know, the theatre tradition of the time. So I just thought, you know, could these people not see the pathos of the Lon Chaney character in it? That he was dangerous, but he was also sort of perverted but pathetic. And I just found there was a man behind me and he kept guffawing and he really pissed me off. And I was going to turn around and say to him, you know, it's not a comedy, but I restrained myself, but only just. They weren't actually silent when people were watching them anyway, because they had music. In some cases, they had music specially composed for the film, and quite often they had sound effects as well. You know, they apparently, I have only read about this, but they had machines that, you know, people like travelling cinemas, and they basically generated things like the sounds of rain or the sounds of thunder and things like this. In fact, I read something about some travelling cinema where they actually had a man who did all the special effects. And in fact, the showman who was putting on the show, he gave a commentary on the side. And in fact, I also read about a woman who played a banjo while she was also giving the commentary. So they weren't necessarily, and I don't think everybody sat there respectfully either, you know, looking at them. I think there was a lot of interaction, like, ooh, look behind you, or oh my gosh. Particularly by the time they got up to the 1920s. The standard of filmmaking in the 20 to 27 was extremely high. The standard of filmmaking went off, in fact, after the sound was brought in. It didn't get back on its feet till about 1934. Unfortunately, so did censorship. I mean, there was a raw sexuality to that film, which would, you know, do credit to today. She was the object of desire, but you could see why she was. You know, there was no coyness about this. And I also think, I mean, I actually can't remember a film in any of the hundreds and hundreds of films I've seen where a woman said, you know, men are always trying to touch me, I want them to stop. And showed the, you know, the fact that she would refuse love because of all this other unwelcome attention she'd got. That was actually quite a daring subject. I think that'd even be a daring subject now. The men's naked desire for her and the way she was sort of presented herself, you know, she was plainly had been an object of desire. I actually wondered, you know, was there a hint that maybe she'd been raped in the past or something like this? But certainly she'd had a lot of unwelcome attention and she was being, and actually most women could react to that. You know, that's something that I think most young women learn to handle. But back there, it was pre-feminist days, and women were basically, you know, either if they weren't sort of in a very protected environment, well, then they were fair game. So, you know, I think it was way out there with being daring, and I do think that's the one thing Todd Browning does. He gives all his characters their humanity. Whether they're not, even Lon Chaney, who was a complete scumbag in the film, you know, you still felt a sort of pity for him because he just got it so wrong.